So the story is much more important. And with Steve, it was very straightforward concept. But there are other robots who had a very a lot more depth in their story. Like you have the small yellow robot Rachel, who came 2 years before Steve.
You feel like outsider?
Yeah, I feel, I'm not sure that is fair, but I feel it has a lot to do with my geographic location. This is a Belgian or a Flemish problem. If I would be in much not that far away, just in France, in Paris, you have a community of robot builders that is a lot more connected, like Hugging Face, Polar Robotics, Enchanted Tools. They're all very close together.
Yeah.
It's a community because they're in this French culture. I know that is very far in the future, but from the very first robots I was creating, this is a core idea of why I'm doing this. And so, yeah, that is my dream.
Daar was laatst een meisjeloos, die wou gaan varen, die wou gaan varen. Daar was laatst een meisjeloos, die wou gaan varen als lichtmatroos. Zij moest klimmen in de mast, maken de zeilen, maken de zeilen. Zij moest klimmen.
Hello, Jan.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us here in the room in the museum.
Yes.
Ghent.
Yeah.
I was in an event for humanoid robotics.
Yeah.
I invest in Ghent.
Yeah.
And first of all, I would say that before I introduce you, I'm quite happy that I found you by accident.
Mm-hmm.
I noted that you have been doing humanoid for almost more than a decade.
Yes.
And I was impressed. Like, I didn't know much you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's probably more my problem that I didn't advertise enough to people that I'm still doing this. Yeah.
So who you are, maybe for you first time listening to, if you can tell about who you are.
Well, so I have a small studio in Mechelen, in the center of Belgium, where I was making creative, interactive installations for the past almost 30 years, since the late 90s. And I also was making, I did a lot of physical installations on one part, and then I was also creating characters, so in physical, fictional characters for games. I created a lot of games. And one day, 13 years ago, an advertising agency called me and they said, yeah, you do physical installations, you also do characters, so you must be a robot maker. And we need a robot in 3 weeks' time. And suddenly, that moment, I realized, yes, this is what I was supposed to do. I'm a robot maker. So 3 weeks later, I created the first small robot, Yumi. It's a kitchen robot. He doesn't really cook himself, but he can explain to people, to children, how they can prepare.
Which year was that? Which year?
That was 2012, was the first robot. I had experience with Arduino platforms and with servos, so that wasn't the difficult part, but I got really thrown in the fact that I had to coordinate over 16 degrees of freedom in one machine. In the end, it functioned. It was okay for their purpose. But what was special is we did a video recording with the robot for this company. And then in the end, they said, okay, it's fine now. We have the recording. You can keep the robot. So I kept the robot and I went on tour to other companies and to other places, telling about how great this experience was. And that I wanted to keep doing this. And robots were for me a creative medium, not just a technical solution for something, but a creative medium. And I wanted to share this with as many people as I could. So that's what I kept doing for the next 13 years. And
Okay, to me, because here in Belgium, I think for me personally, I struggle to find a community about humanoid robotics or robotics. There is, but not too many.
No.
And I don't know how your experience over this year is like. You already been doing a lot of creative things. A recent one from Philander's Make, I was impressed how they used the table to be interactive and used the arm robot to do that.
Yeah.
That was creative. But can you tell me the challenges that maybe personally for you, since you have been doing that, or the struggles?
Now there are more people talking about robotics, but 10 years ago that was still a very niche subject. But I've quickly found some of the key players where we had meetings and we talked about things. People in really in the mechanics, people in vision systems and in industrial applications. But I was always the outlier and the creative guy. So I'm more or less an artist and slash inventor of these robots. So for both parties, as well for the creative industry, I'm too much of an engineer. So they say, that's the engineer. The engineers, they will say, that's the artist. So he's not really serious like us all the time. So I'm always in between there, and that is a big challenge, and that is probably why there isn't such a large community of people that build robots from this story side, from the creative side. I believe we did a while ago. We did a small robot festival in Aalst, where I tried to bring together some people who were busy in humanoids back then, but most of the people were coming from the maker community, like people who are tinkering at home. Not really researchers, but people who are finding things out by themselves. And that's a big loss, I think, that there is not a stronger connection with the research and with the industry here in Belgium. It's a very conservative world, the industrial manufacturing world.
Why is this conservative? Can I ask you why you think it's very conservative in that regard?
Well, it has on one side to do with the fact, of course, that people who study engineering follow a very conservative path through schools and academic institutes. And then in the end, when you arrive at a company, Belgian companies don't like a lot of risk taking. So they like to work with the things that work. They're pragmatic Flemish people, so they like, if it works, don't fix it. That's okay. So that also means that you work with robot arms that have been running since the 80s. So the same form factor, 6 degrees of freedom robot arm with the gripper. If it works, they don't like to change that. And that is something that defines a little bit the industry here in Belgium. You can see the big difference with the places where this robot evolution is really going very fast. That is in China and in the States, where risk taking is a bit more prominent. Yeah.
So I saw the recent robot Steve in the talk, and I think I would love for us to tell us about Steve and how they designed it, or anyone would like to start digging in humanoid designing that.
Yeah. So Steve is the largest, one of the largest robots in my family, probably. And it started all with a commission by a client who said they were a movie theater chain, and they said, we want a robot character that can drive around in the movie theaters, but also at festivals and events, and talk about movie experience. A channel to bring the fantasy world to the actual physical world. And my first idea was to, because in the beginning they were thinking about R2-D2, something small, the Star Wars robot that is very popular, a little bit abstract. And I was thinking bigger. I liked the idea of a robot that could extend in height, so that if you're in a crowded environment, he could still be the largest individual there, because otherwise it just drowns into people, and he becomes very, very fragile. While Steve now, he can extend over 2 meters tall, and he's always the largest in the room, and you won't run him over. He's always there, but in the same time, always very friendly character. So almost nobody is scared by Steve. He's always the friendly giant in the room. it's also because of his design and because of the way he talks. So he was built for this company, and he stayed at this company for several years, and then 3 or 4 years ago, I got a call from that company. They said, this project is finished for us, so we don't know what to do with Steve anymore, but we cannot just throw him away.
Yeah.
So, and these are their words. We want to give him back to his father, and that was then me. And I said, yeah, sure. If the lost son wants to come home, I'll be there tomorrow with a large van, and because I had to get him down from the top floor. And since then, Steve is back at home, and he's almost the same parts as he was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fix too many things. People need to see that he has experienced a lot of adventures. People have touched him, and children will hang on his arms, and you can see the marks of his adventures. But that also makes him a lot richer, of course. It is not a new robot out of the box. Steve has been among people for over 11 years, and he wears those marks interacting with people.
Beginning of 2025, a lot of humanoid robotics is just, but you've been doing this for more than a decade, and I think what's really interesting to me was limited budget. You managed to get this design at mobile based. It's mobile based, and I think it's just I would love to get in how you managed to do that with limited resources, and if they have the opportunity for more resources, how to enhance what you would like to do in the design.
Yeah. So I didn't have industrial or research kind of funding. That was just a budget that a commercial client would give me for these campaigns. Often they didn't want to keep the robot for many years. It was just 2 or 3 months campaigning, and then what happens to the robot doesn't matter for them. So this is a small budget. So I had to use small off-the-shelf materials. RC motors with gearboxes to make them a little bit stronger, but then also classic RC motors with PWM signals, so I could use Arduino boards. And the Arduino open source platform has been very good for me, because they're in all my robots, and they're also very stable. So I have Arduino boards that have been running for over 11 years, still the same board, the same software, and very stable and always doing what they need to do. But they're not expensive. The parts are relatively cheap. Most of the budget went to just labor, my time spending building the robots. And then, the rest of the body of the robot then came from either found objects. So I would just look for objects in thrift stores or at flea markets, and then I thought
what you see in flea market.
I see a shape of a robot here, like the head. It's a big garden lamp, or small parts you can identify. Lamps. Lamps are often very nice objects because somebody already designed a nice shape for a lamp. But then a lamp is also an open side where the light bulb goes, so this can become the face of the robot very, very easily. So I have many lamps that became robot faces. And then other parts are 3D printed or vacuum formed or laser cut. Cheap materials where I thought, if we last a few months, it's fine. But many of the parts are over 10 years old now at Steve, and they're still doing just fine. Many of the quality was much better than I feared at the beginning at these parts.
So I think what was the challenging part of the designing Steve?
I think with Steve it was after a while I got a lot of freedom from clients. It's just we have seen what he does. The designs are fine. Just let him do whatever he wants, because I do not plan a lot in advance. Often shaping the body of the robot is more like sculpting for me. So I'm just putting pieces together and I'm looking at the shape, the gestalt, or does it look nice? But some clients, of course, they request a more detailed plan. So there were a lot of small requests with this client to make small changes about the color, maybe the eyes there, changing it. And I always felt, I don't feel like putting too much time in this. This isn't how I usually build robots. I just make a shape of a face, put the eyes in. Does it look nice and friendly? Yes, okay, finished. It's fine. If that is because I perceive these robot characters more like, if you meet people on the street and you think, this person's eyes are too close together, I don't like this. This isn't a way to judge people, and I don't like to do this with the robots either. If the eyes are like this, that's how they are. That's it. If they look friendly, that's okay for me. So too many small adjustments in the designs was a bit of a challenge for me.
And I see a lot of you focus at we have a couple of episodes about the design, how the uncanny valley, but it's I see that the design is very friendly, just as basic, and I think that's the way to go. I think how to design these robots.
Yes, thank you. That's how I feel too. Yeah. And that goes probably back to my character design days. So long before I was making robots, I was already investing a lot of time in character design, that's called. I learned a lot at the Pictoplasma conference in Berlin. That is a yearly conference specifically around character design. But not just characters in animations or comic books or sculptures, so any form of character. But often not just the most popular characters, more the strange characters that are engaging, something that is, when there's something missing or where there's something not quite right, that can get people interested. What is going on here? Why is this character here and what is its story? And that is very important to engage people in your design. So the perfection is the worst thing you can do. So there needs to be something off. And the uncanny valley was one of the first concepts that I learned also at this conference, at this festival, because I immediately understood the problem there. So if you make it too real, too human-like, it becomes very scary. Now it's already, you see more human-like robots, so there's much more reason to be scared. At the humanoids 10 years ago that looked very human-like, they were a lot more scary than the best ones today. So it was very obvious what was going on. While I come from, many of my influences as a designer come from pop culture and just from growing up in the 70s and the 80s. So that means a lot of Muppets, Jim Henson productions, and the Simpsons, the big white eyes with the black dot inside. And that, it's very easy to see why that works with people and why this is appealing. So I applied this to the robots too. Big white eyes on a very contrasting color of face, and then big eyes and a big forehead, so they look less threatening and more infant-like. So these are small tricks you can use. And then also non-standard materials. So Steve is now very plastic and metal, but I have a lot of robots who have fur because it is very thankful material to work with when you have to connect shapes with each other. So if you take plastic and metals and they don't fit correctly, then you take fake fur, you just glue it over and it's immediately it makes sense. So I've made many faces with this fur, and we also did this with in workshops with other creative people all over the world, just bringing a lot of fake fur. And if you don't have a lot of skill, mechanic skills to make a nice head shape, just glue it together, and then the fur makes it all smooth. All your errors are gone in the end. Yeah,
it's a smart way to finish it. So and I'm not sure. Which one of the robots was the most interesting to you and maybe designing it? Before going to speak about what we see now, the humanoid design, but I know for you it's more about, again, it's creative. You have been doing this in your own.
Yeah, the story of the robots is more important than their design for me. So I don't think too much about how they look right now. It's just they're there. This is Steve, he looks like this. I do not question it anymore. So the story is much more important. And with Steve, it was very straightforward concept. But there are other robots who had a very a lot more depth in their story. Like you have the small yellow robot Rachel, who came 2 years before Steve, and she was created for an exhibition in Berlin for Pictoplasma. She was created to be there for 3 months, and then they moved to Mexico, to Monterrey, for 6 more months, and she went there all by herself. So they shipped her with a plane, but I could not intervene anymore. Other people had to take care of her. When she came back, she was home for a few months, and then they left to Russia, to Moscow for 7 more months. So all the time she's traveling, and the concept of Rachel is she's based on the character Rachel from the movie Blade Runner. And Rachel in Blade Runner, she needs other people to feel real. And this is what happens to Rachel too. So you could just look at her and see a machine that's just black and yellow and has a face and eyes. But people want to see the person Rachel. And the more they interact with her, and I got hundreds and hundreds of photos and messages from people, Rachel is doing fine. Hey, I saw her there. She had this, but we fixed her. The person Rachel becomes more and more real the more people interact with her. And what happens with humans too. We need social interaction to make ourselves feel as a complete person. And for robots, that is still a stretch for many people. They're not alive, so they're not biological life. No, but they can be a person, and they're not just a fictional character. Because a book you can close, or a movie you can end the movie, and then the characters are gone. But Rachel is there all the time. She's going through time. She has marks. She's losing paint. Things are breaking, and we fix her. You can see that she's going through time and has a kind of a lifespan like other individuals in her environment. And this is, I know that it triggers some people, and not everybody likes this idea, but that is very fascinating for me, because I see many people who totally understand this story and are willing to go along with her. So she is one of the my most favorite stories so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
So since we're closing to end, I think one of the things I want to ask you, do you feel maybe coming to the point that there's not too much activities happening, or events or opportunity? Do you feel outsider in what you do?
Absolutely. But I don't mind. It's on one side, it's just my role. I know I've accepted this, that there are no other people in my environment doing the same thing. It also tells me, this isn't a commercial viable market. So otherwise, there would be more competitors.
Can you feel like outsider?
Yeah, I feel, I'm not sure if that is fair, but I feel it has a lot to do with my geographic location. This is a Belgian or a Flemish problem. If I would be in much not that far away, just in France, in Paris, you have a community of robot builders that is a lot more connected, like Hugging Face, Polar Robotics, Enchanted Tools. They're all very close together. Yeah. It's a community because they're in this French culture. If you are in China, I'm sure in Shenzhen there will be also a very vibrant community, although less visible for us here in Europe, how this works. You also have this community probably in Silicon Valley, but this is very much driven, of course, by venture capitalists. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if that is also always the best best ingredient to bring the most creative works. It's market driven and not always driven by the best intentions or empathy or friendliness in mind. But I could let myself go and be frustrated about this, but that doesn't help anybody. So I try to keep that frustration away, be positive and just accept how things are and be grateful for the technical advances there are right now. I keep learning, I keep assimilating new technologies and apply them in my projects. And this is the way they are right now. I hope, but I'm really hopeful when I see young people coming to me and working on new initiatives to invigorate each other, to bring a new spirit to this community. And I like to be involved, although I am much older than many of those younger people.
It's young by spirit, I think that's what.
Yeah, and I'm very young in spirit still, so that is hopeful. But there is a lot to do for the industrial market still, I believe, here in Belgium.
No, I agree with you. I think a few questions maybe to end here. Yeah, we speak about geographic location sometimes it's constrained, but if you like your ultimate dream that you want to see it.
Yeah, that goes very far. So keep hang on. What I feel is I always felt that robots can take their place among humans when it comes to experiencing culture, but also producing culture or bringing human culture to the future. Because humans are like any other animal on the planet. We have a limited time to spend on the planet, and at some point, artificial life will take over our culture, or will be able to take over it and bring it much farther in the future. Maybe not just in time, but also in location. Right now, all humans are living on this planet, but there are many other planets in the galaxy that can be explored, but that are impossible to explore by humans because they're too far away, or just our biology can't take it. Robots could do this and bring our culture with them, so that humanity can spread in time through the galaxy without maybe the actual biological human form, but still in some form that is related to our culture. But that means we have to take care that these robots are nice and friendly and bring our values with them. So they cannot just be blank faces with just things to solve our domestic problems, or just robots, metallic slaves that work in our house. No, they need to be able to take in a space that is almost equal to human life when it comes to bringing culture forward. And this is what I dream about. So that in the far future there will be a robot exploring a faraway planet, and it will land there and look at the beauty of this place where no human could be, but it would still be of value to us all as humans.
Yep.
You see, it's not just a machine that is over there, but it is experiencing things, the beauty, the poetry of that place, and we will all be linked with that experience in some way. And I know that is very far in the future, but from the very first robots I was creating, this is a core idea of why I'm doing this. And so, that is my dream.
When you're reflecting, we have this robot inspired by human morphology.
Yeah.
But what about something beyond the human morphology?
I'm sure that future robot designs, and also the AI accompanying it, will create also will have some input and influence on how future designs will look. So it's not all up to humans. It will at one stage it will start creating itself, and that is something can be scary, because where will it take his values and his and its sense of beauty? Will it take it from the data sets we are creating right now that might be tainted by a lot of negative concepts and ideas too, or will we be able to give it the freedom to create its own understanding of the world and look at the good things in in life and start from trust in other humans and equality. While we know in many data sets right now, there isn't that trust, and there is a lot of inequality, and they're very biased towards certain groups of people in the world who are not representing all of humanity. So that is something that scares me. Will there be a reset moment where we can start new with the data set, or will we be able to fix this kind of data that is occurring right now, the biased data, to make it less biased? That concerns me. I like to ignore this right now and hope for the best, but I'm not sure if that is going to be fine.
Maybe a few questions. I think about creativity. I think that's one of the things. How to make sure you get this in creative space, like what's your way to get there and be creative and think about different ideas, or you know what I mean? Just get this space that you have this creative.
Yeah, I think what the luxury with working with robots is that, like I mentioned before, you can take a fictional character, something you created in your mind, and it can become real in the actual physical world. And that is very, very powerful, because you could just build a robot and then have it in your living room where it just stays and you can look at it. But then you can bring it to the world and let it meet other people. So your fictional creation suddenly becomes physical in the real world, and then they meet other people, and they're wondering what is going on here. They're happy to interact with them, and those smiles on those faces is amazing as a creative, because you can see not just people looking at like a painting or a nice photo and wondering, this is beauty, but also it goes a lot further. It is an interaction. I've seen small children looking at Steven and thinking, maybe this can be my new best friend. And this is very powerful. I feel that the extent is, there is so much potential in this creative medium as a robot. We haven't reached the end by far. There is so much more possible, but we have to take care that it's all with the best intentions and with respect to everybody.
So I think the today event, because it was Invest in Ghent, and I'm not sure if people listening outside of Belgium, maybe we took away from this event.
I was together in a panel with two researchers, and they're, of course, they're very nice people, and they have some creative ideas too about how they approach humanoids and robots. But they're also working in this research academic environment, and that is apparently closely linked with the business side. So that is still the path people take. So what is business in robots? We look at research, and then we see what the market requests of us. So I was here again as the outlier, and just the creative or the artist there in the panel. And nobody is looking at what art or creativity would bring to the business side. That isn't just on the table right now. And that is what I noticed today. Everybody is used to having this path, just research feeding the industry, and then the industry telling research what they need. But the creative side is not represented in that cycle.
It's interesting because we're speaking also off record that the humanoid now makes sense in the entertainment side of business. Fighting bots and entertainment, that's where you can make the business out of it.
Well, the Stevie Road was built especially for this. So it was created in the entertainment industry to be a host and to entertain people. And this is the best way, of course, to make people to make people dream of what is possible. So they're already in a very artificial environment of them with entertainment. So they're in a theater or in a TV studio. So you can control the setting, and that allows you to go a little bit further to the edge and push the envelope, because you have this controlled environment. And if people will assume if I take this robot I see in this video and I take it home, it won't behave the same. Of course not, but I'm entertained right now, so I can dream about what is possible. Entertainment, movie, TV industry allows us to look in the future and make us dream, and we can go along with this while presenting concepts that aren't really finished to put on the street, but in a controlled environment we can go a little bit further than anticipated. Like Steve now, he talks with an AI voice, but 10 years ago that technology wasn't advanced enough, so it was a person with a microphone behind the curtains. And still people would come to me and they would ask, what is this software? It's so amazing. Yes, I will tell you a secret. There is somebody with a microphone. So people wanted to believe, they wanted to make the picture complete of Steve is talking to me and it's all software and hardware. And if you play a trick with people and use you solve this problem with somebody with a microphone, who cares? It was, they could dream that this was real, and look, 10 years later, this is real now. Yeah.
And you also be at 11 Labs. There's event. You'll be, I think, you're a jury for 11 Labs.
Yeah, there is this Thursday. There is a global hackathon from 11 Labs, and so the Belgian part will be at the Winter Circus, and it's organized by North Star AI, and they invited me to be in the jury. I like 11 Labs a lot because the voice of Steve is 11 Labs. It's great technology. So I'm happy, looking forward to that day. Yeah.
I wish you good success in everything you do. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the invitation to have this talk. It's great to meet people who are enthusiastic about the ideas I have about robots. So thank you, Marwa, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Ik zag Cecilia komen langs in een